Hey everybody, welcome back to Superhuman Customs. I'm Stephen Human. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually going to be customizing 4 different figures. Now, how are we going to be able to do that, you ask? Well, it's going to be quite simple. You see, my older brother David, who on YouTube is Fat Guy on Film, he has been watching my videos and he is incredibly talented. He makes Star Wars helmets. He customizes them, does private orders, and can create any helmet that anybody wants and paint it up exactly in the way that you want it to be done. So he knows his way around a paint set. And so he keeps talking to me about, hey, you need some Vallejos, and he'll watch some of these and he'll be like, dude, so I think that if you did one thing to this figure, it would be amazing. So I just got in the mail yesterday these. These are Vallejo paints, and they are mud textures because he has been wanting me to muddy up some of these characters. So today we're going to do it. I'm going to experiment. I don't know. I'm going to start with the darker and do the lighter one over the top, and I'm going to use a sponge. That's my plan. Never done this before, so this is going to be a lot of fun. So the 4 figures that we are going to be customizing, we're going to be doing our big bad boy Bane, because he was the first that my brother David was like, hey, he needs some mud on his boots. It would look so cool. So we're going to put mud on Bane's boots. We are also going to be doing the most recent Batman that we did, which is the Vallejo Batman. Also dirtied him up. We're going to put some mud here, a little bit on his cape. Then we're going to touch some figures that we don't usually work with. We are going to be doing the new series of Lord of the Rings figures. Now, everybody knows from the movie, Gandalf, his boots and all down here was all quite muddy. On the toy, they kind of lightened it up a little bit, but they didn't do much. I've actually done a little bit of light customization on him already using shoe polish a few months ago before I started doing all of this stuff and had the tools. So I darkened his beard just a tiny bit and a little bit just to add some texture here. We're going to add some mud. And finally, Aragorn, who should definitely have a lot of mud on his boots. So these are the 4 figures that we are going to be doing today. It's going to be awesome. So let's start experimenting. All right, we're going to start with Aragorn here. Because I want to do the Bane last, because that's the one I'm the most worried about. So I'm going to dip this sponge in the paint here, and I chose the darker color first, and I'm just going to kind of pat it around here and see how it looks. It's looking like dirt, I guess. You know, I don't know how it's going to dry. Why don't we bring over some Gandalf action? Let's try Gandalf. He's got a little bit more of a texture to him. Grab the rest of this paint and let's see the same thing. I'm going to need more of this paint, aren't I? All right, well, it's looking like it's adding a little bit of brown there. Probably need some more paint. Just dirtying him up a little bit, okay. Oops, I dropped his staff there. His shoes are already brown, so I don't know if that's really making much of a difference, but it's looking dirtier, in my opinion. Let's add a little bit up here on his arms. Why not? All right, it looks like Aragorn's all dry. I'm going to go into the lighter color now, which seems to be a thicker one. And let's go ahead and dab that in here. Ooh, that really does look like mud. My goodness, look at that. Huh, that looks like mud. Put some on his cape here. His cloak, I guess. Aragorn doesn't wear a cape, he's not Superman. That looks like mud, for sure. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's adding some nice texture there. Let's put a little bit on his knees. Maybe a little bit up here on his tunic. A little bit up here. Just going to dab a little bit here and there just to, because we all know Aragorn was pretty dirty in those movies through a good proportion of it. Yeah, just a little bit of dirt here and there. He's looking dirty. All right, let's do the same to Gandalf now. Let's get a little bit more of the paint here on the sponge. And let's dab. This tends to look like it's blending in a little bit more with his cloak. So I'm thinking that the darker works better on the lighter colors, and the lighter works better on the darker colors. So it should look good on his boots because his boots are pretty dark. So I think with Gandalf, I might add a little bit more of that darker brown over the top of this one. So I think that's the key, is maybe starting with one layer that matches more of the color palette of what's going on, and then the other one go on the top. So maybe with Bane and Batman, I'll experiment with the opposite. All right, let's move on to Batman. We're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna start with the dark, with this very, very muddy color, and then do the lighter after. So I'm gonna dab it around here on his boots, a little bit on his cape. This this Batman's been running through the dirty parts of Gotham tonight. So there we go, looking pretty nice. Okay, so he's looking muddy. That looks like Batman is muddy. So we'll do the other color here in just a second. So should we risk the Bane? Let's see. All right, before we move to my Bane, Sam came in and he wants me to do his Bane. So I guess we're doing 5 characters today with the brand new Bane. So let's muddy him up too. All right, we're gonna do the same thing we did with the Batman. We're gonna start with this mud color and get it all over his boots. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's go over here. The sponge is nice because it gives it a nice, kind of randomness, very organic feel when it goes on. You can go as dirty as you like. You can make him so that Bane was just going crazy in the mud with Batman while fighting for the soul of Gotham City. All right, last but not least, my big boy Bane. Let's get some mud on here. I don't want to cover everything because I got some nice silver on these boots. I don't really want to jack up too bad. But let's kind of get around here, get up in here. It is adding just a nice little texture to everything. Wouldn't want to do it with every character, but some of these, like Bane, definitely make sense to have some mud. All right, now with Batman, let's go into the other color brown and kind of lay it on. Ooh, it's much brighter here on this Batman. So I'm going to go on a little bit lighter. It actually is deadening it up a little bit. And I kind of like that look on this Batman. So I'm just going to do a little bit and not go too crazy because I like the other look better. All right, now it's Bane's turn. Let's go on a little bit lighter than we did with the Batman and just get some on here so that it kind of just accents. I didn't like how the Batman turned out so brown. But if I add some, I think having some up here on his knees and stuff will stand out a little bit more than that gray did. So let's play around with it. Again, it's all experimentation every single time. This Bane is a little bit harder to see all the gray and the brown of the mud. It's not quite as stark as I expected it to be. The Batman, it was really stark. All right, last but not least, the Bane. And again, I'm just gonna add a few speckles here because I prefer the grayish brown, but it does look better on this Bane having this brown than it did on the other Bane. So I'm gonna go up here and just add a little bit here and there. Looks better on the gray for sure, or on the silver parts. This brown does. Looks better. I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah. Some dirty folks here now. All right, everything's dried, so let's go ahead and take a closer look. Let's start with Bane. Bane was, the colors, I don't know, it just didn't quite show up. It adds definitely some texture to him, but I'm not sure that it makes a really big difference, either the brown or the gray. It just kind of blended in. Now let's look at my Bane, which I think did a little bit better job. You can see that it's got some muddy parts. It looks like he stomped through the mud a little bit, and that looks really nice. So I'm pleased with how that one turned out. Now, Batman. Batman, I think, looks awesome. Both the brown and the grayish brown both turned out really, really nice on this guy. I got some on his cape. It really looks like he was fighting Bane in the mud somewhere. This one, I think, really, really stands out. All right, next let's check out Gandalf. Okay, Gandalf the brown ended up standing out a little bit more on him, so I added a little bit more, and he does look like he's muddy, like he went through the mud and, you know, on his treks through the Shire and the Mordor and stuff like that. So he does look pretty good. But now we're going to talk about the one that I think turned out the best, and that's Aragorn, partially because he lends himself so well to being dirty. So the boots, the gray and the brown, both stood out really nicely on his boots, on his pants, and then I just added some kind of all over, almost just to make him, put some on his hand, just to make him look like he was like he's dirty. I mean, he's dirty through almost all three of those movies until he becomes the king at the end. So he looks the best using these Vallejo mud textures. So if you've got a character that needs to look dirty, I think they look really, really good. If you got one you're just kind of adding some textures to, it's not, in my opinion, going to make or break the figure. But on some of them, it really does look good, particularly Batman and Aragorn. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts. I think all of these characters are improved over where they were. I wouldn't add it on every character for sure, but yeah, tell me what you think in the comments, not the comics. Tell me what you think in the comments. And if there's anything specific you guys would like to see in the future, any experimentation that you would like me to do, feel free to leave the comment down there, and I will see you guys next week.